Alright, how's everybody doing? This is going to be kind of a three-part deal. First is a quick review of this generator, the Ridgid something here. Let me see if there's enough light. The 5700 with 7125 start watts. So what I did, we're in my shed right now. I got this about 6 months ago. And I had some problems with it, didn't feel like taking it back, so I fixed it. Whiny kid. So it's been sitting since July, and it's now December, in the shed, and it's Connecticut. We're gonna get some snow, big snow this weekend, and apparently they lose power here all the time. So I'm gonna go through this thing, the problems I had with it, and we'll see how it starts. Being sitting cold, the gas has Stabil in it. So all I'm going to do is take it from here and wheel it down to my garage. I'll talk through it, and then we'll see how it starts and how reliable it is, because it's just been broken in and that's it. And then we'll talk about the power disconnect for generator and all that stuff. Okay, so all we've done is wheel this a few hundred feet to my garage. As you can see, the snow is still sticking to it, so I think it's about 22 degrees out today. Pretty cold, and it's gone down to almost zero a couple times. Hasn't been run, so you won't be able to hear me whenever I start it. But this one, well, to carry it, I really don't like it, but it has this handle, and you just tip it up and carry it. So here's my old one, a little Hyundai 2000 SI. It burned itself up, had a little coil problem, so needed to get one. Didn't need a quiet one anymore for camping, so just got the big loud Home Depot, and didn't want the Ridgid, wanted like the $300 Chinese one, but went with this. So before we even do anything with it, it is the Yamaha 300cc, 298, whatever they are, with the standard Chinese-Japanese friggin' generator on it. Actually, it's China. Okay, so everybody says it's not China because it's Ridgid. Well, Ridgid is. This is kind of ghetto. I assume the instructions don't tell you anything. It says it has a low oil shutoff. I don't know if this will light up if it's low on oil and you're trying to pull it and this will be blinking. I don't know, but it's just been broken in with the oil, the original oil that they give you. I still haven't changed it to synthetic because it doesn't have but maybe a couple hours on it. Has a metal gas tank. There were all kinds of problems with it, right? So when I first got it, it started first pull. No problem. As soon as I put a load on it, after about a half an hour, you couldn't leave it run with the choke totally off. You had to feather the choke with the load. So I instantly knew there was a problem. So I looked on the internet, blah blah blah, because this thing's pretty heavy. I didn't want to throw it in the back of the SUV and take it back. It's got a standard Mikuni carb on it. It's not a slide, it's a butterfly. It's, you know, standard for a little motor like this. So I said, well, I'm not going to take it back. Let's just fix it. I can tear this carb apart in 10 minutes, find the problem. Well, I pulled, because the problem was it was running very lean and you had to have choke on all the time. So you take this off. In between here, there isn't a spacer here. On the other side of this black plastic inside the airbox, I'm not going to open it, but there's a little collar that fits right around here. It has the two stud holes in it, and it sandwiches this plastic. Well, and then there's a gasket behind here. What I noticed, this airbox does not fit the indent, or the airbox doesn't have the right indent for this collar, or not collar, but gasket. So it's smashing a little ridge And I thought, well, man, it's going to get air there. But I was still thinking, and I ran it without the air box. It didn't really make a difference. I thought, So I figured, well, I'm in here. I took the carb off. I was looking, you know, for some kind of a little piece of sealant or something in the main jet. There was nothing. I mean, it was turbo clean. It was great. Putting it back together, the little collar on the inside that is shaped the same as this, it had it was concave, right? Just flip it over and it's convex, whatever. But I noticed whenever I went to put it back on, because I marked it which way it was on, and it was on concave to this. So it was leaving a massive gap and not sealing the gasket. And this airbox has a ridge that doesn't match the collar. So it was getting air. So I flipped it around. Whoever assembled it wrong. So I flipped that around so that the concave side was towards the carburetor, which kind of bent down the tangs and gave it a good seal. I also put some 3-bond on there, just gasket maker. And then after that, it ran great. So I ran it for a couple hours, put a lot of loads on it, worked it on the house, and it handles everything except for the hot water heater and the, we have a well, so the well pump kicks on and the hot water heater, it starts to get under frequency. But it runs everything else. It runs damn near a true sine wave. Nothing in my house had a problem running on it. So this one has the Gen Smart, still has a little sticky on it, but it'll show you how much output it's doing for these, for the GFIs. Now, it will not tell you what you're using from the 30 amp, which most people would use if they're doing it on their house. But, and it also gives you hours, you can reset it, so it's just like an hour meter that, you know, with a maintenance minder. So we're gonna go ahead here and turn the gas on. So what I always do with my stuff that sits, I turn the gas off and I run it out of gas and I feather the choke so that it's totally dry. But this one does have a drain if you chose to do it that way. This little screw is a drain at the bottom of the bowl. So again, it's been sitting for 6 months-ish, and we're gonna see how reliable it is here. The gasket down in there. Now, when this thing had the stuttering problems, everything I was looking up, oh well, it's got a bad fuel filter, a lot of people thought, and then other people said, oh well, this gas cap's not venting. That wasn't the problem. Maybe it was for theirs, but mine was just put together wrong, and it was easier than transporting it back. So the gas is in there. We're gonna choke it. See what she does here. Oh man, that's cold. Smells like gas. I need to set this down. There's a little puff. So I let it warm up a little bit. As you saw, the thing was really cold. It had some thick oil there. I need to get some better oil in it. Probably start a lot easier when it's cold. But again, it's really cold. So I just let it warm up a little bit. I put a little shop light on it. I'm going to put this old air compressor and let it run until it fills it up. You know, just put a load on it for a while. But this thing has no problem running a full house at all. And whenever I tested it with the disconnect, I was running 3 window air conditioner units, aquarium pumps, TVs, computers. The only thing, again, that was shut off was the hot water heater and the well pump. And of course, if you leave the hot water heater off, it'll run the well pump. It just won't do them at the same time. But we'll start it up and we'll put this air compressor on it. And we'll check this. Since I'm using these plugs, you'll be able to see what kind of loads on it. Get cold already? Must have. Yep. Must have blown the GFI. I was like, why wouldn't it keep going? What the problem was is that the plug, it was getting in the way with that rubber seal. So I just had to wiggle it and push it in further. It worked fine, nothing blew. So we just shut the gas off and we'll see how long it takes to run out. And then we'll feather the choke and put it away in the garage for the winter. Okay, so that the problem was that extension cord was just catching on here and then it was popping out. So there was no problem with the generator, nothing was blowing. But I think it got up to a max of 1600, 1700 watts. It filled up this whole air compressor. It was at 150. And this pig, yeah, I know that's deadly dangerous, but that's how she goes. But okay, now we're gonna go look at the disconnect. So this house already had it. Let's look here. Hope there's enough light. It came with, this house had this is a 20 amp. You can tell with these prongs here, because they both got the 4 tabs. And this one, the 20 amp, you can tell it has the prong out. 30 amp has it bent in. So I just replaced that with a 30 amp. And then, so that cable's long enough to come outside and leave the generator sit and run, because it's pretty loud. In here, we'll see if there's enough light. Then that cable runs in here to this disconnect. So this says CL&P, Connecticut Light and Power, and generator. Big switch down. Now this house, it had an addition put on before we got it. So there's a circuit breaker panel here, and then there's one for the original house up there. So this has 2 lines out. It feeds both panels. In here, you get the big disconnect, the 2 hot lines coming in, and then you've got the red and the black. One feeds each breaker panel. And it all you do is switch it, and then whenever you're running the generator, it's just feeding, or I'm sorry, I screwed that up. So the red and the black are the generator coming in, and then the big fat ones coming out are going to the breaker panels.